Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
It's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Hey, it's Leif Gamfert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldovar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Ruari Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Ruari, and joining me today is a very special guest. We have actor Kevin Hudson, best known for playing numerous Cybermen, Scarecrows, Ood, Pig Slaves, Unit Soldiers, also a Dalek Operator and Cassandra's escort in Doctor Who, a Resistance fighter in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, an archer in Snow White and the Huntsman, and the Sergeant of the Gate in Jack the Giant Slayer. How are you today, sir?
Hi, I'm very good. How are you?
Very good, thanks. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Happy to be here.
So getting right into the questions, Kevin, for some of our listeners who may not be familiar with your background, can you tell us how you got into acting originally?
Well, I suppose my first early experiences were things like school nativity plays and things. So that was, some people are a bit frightened by that sort of thing, and I kind of enjoyed it, really. It's nice to be on stage, singing the wrong words to Christmas carols, because that's what you do when you're 5. You get all the words mixed up, don't you? And then as I progressed through adulthood, I was always a bit of a joker. And then about early 20s, I got a job in a cabaret bar in Plymouth. And it was doing song and dance routines and little sketches on a bar top, which, so I absolutely loved doing it, and that got me into, a taste for it. And then I joined acting agencies, and the rest is kind of taking care of itself, really.
It's very interesting, and yes, when you're a 5-year-old doing a school nativity play, it's definitely okay for you to mess up the words. Not so sure it would be now, but back then you could get away with it.
Yeah, it's good. And I also did, there was a school production of Jonah and the Whale, and I remember being Jonah and climbing into the whale's mouth. But I don't know what it was. It must have been like that massive cardboard box, I think. But I thought, this is fun, being eaten by a whale. And nothing's changed since. Every time I'm on a film set now, I think to myself, this is fun, doing whatever I'm doing. So it's a love that's stayed with me right through my life, really.
Yeah. It never gets old, just having these surreal experiences, does it?
Well, every time I walk into a film set, I'm excited, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes you've got an idea, but it's something new, something different that you've never done before, or particularly if you're dressing up in a particular costume, or you're meeting a famous actor for the first time, or I've still got that little excited little boy inside me,
Yeah, that's really great. Now, in terms of your work on Doctor Who, can you tell us how you were originally cast in the show?
Yep. So I was working for an agency in Bristol called Phoenix Casting Agency, and a few of us, quite a lot of us, were asked to go along to this kind of boot camp, I suppose, monster boot camp at this disused building in Cardiff. And it was a series of, exercises run by Elsa Burke, who is the monster coordinator, as you probably know, on Doctor Who, amongst other things as well. And so, we were all asked to march in step, march in time, working in teams. We did workshops on movement exercises, on spatial awareness exercises, and just practicing and working in groups and working as, a unit. And from that crowd of however many, I don't know, 80, we were whittled down to a core group of about 20 of us over the space of, a few sessions work,
Yeah,
and that was the core group for being the subsequent monsters on, the first one being the Cybermen, but lots of others during the course of that series and other series that followed.
Yeah, definitely. That's really exciting, and I'm sure
it was exciting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure that boot camp was definitely a lot more interesting than boot camps when you're younger and it's just like scouts and all.
Yeah. Well, it was. It was serious stuff, and none of us knew. Obviously we knew it was a Doctor Who, but none of us knew what to expect. Obviously everyone was aware of the show from obviously me for 70s and 80s, but obviously the older person in the 60s as well. We didn't know how it was going to, how it was going to come back, whether it was going to be good or not. It was just another kind of program that we were going to be working on. It was crucial actually. And doing the exercises, you realised when you're doing the series how important that was because obviously particularly with the Cybermen, they move as a unit. There's no individuality to it. So to have that kind of those exercises to draw back on, and we would still do them as well as the monsters progressed, and we did other monsters. We did the same kind of exercises to kind of just to learn a new movement or to practice walking in a controlled line.
Absolutely, because it seems such a little thing when you look at the Cybermen all moving as a unit, but if even just one, wasn't moving as part of the unit, it would really stand out.
Well, and particularly because you can't see much as well. The vision is terrible. You've got two little tiny eye holes and you can only see in front. You've got no peripheral vision at all. So to have that, ability to count steps when you can't see anything was crucial. And also doing live shows as well. I remember doing the proms at the Royal Albert Hall when me and another monster were walking down some steps in the auditorium to frighten some audience members. It was fine during rehearsals because all the lights were up, but when it's showtime, all the lights came down and you couldn't see anything. So you had to rely on your counting your steps to hit a mark.
Yeah, and if anyone doesn't count their steps, it could be a very awkward collision.
Well, yeah, and that's why rehearsal is so important. And in fact, another occasion on the same Royal Albert Hall gig, we were coming out on stage as a Cybermen, and they hadn't rehearsed with some of the lights and the smoke machine, and someone got excited with the smoke machine, and I couldn't see anything. I counted my steps, but bounced off a wall. Luckily, that was hidden by the smoke and the lights from the audience, and it was just like it was, by the time we did actually hit our mark, a bit kind of dazed, but we made our mark. But luckily, the before bit nobody noticed. Well, hopefully nobody noticed.
Yeah, that's actually really funny, and considering, like you mentioned, the lack of vision in the Cybermen outfits, it does make sense that can happen.
Well, yeah, as we walked out on stage, somebody said, "Watch out for the photographer." Then there'd never been a photographer, obviously, during rehearsal. So that was another thing you're aware of if somebody's shouting at you, to watch out for something, and that shouldn't have happened. But those sort of things happen all the time, and you just make the best of it, and hopefully nobody notices.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you said you were aware of the show before you were cast in it, but would you describe yourself as a fan of the show beforehand?
Yeah, probably when I was a lot younger, I suppose, from the age of maybe 8, 8 or 9, something like that. So my first Doctor was John Pertwee, and then he finished and Tom Baker took over. So I kind of crossed the bridge between both of those. And then other things took over, like football and other things, that I was interested in. And I was still a fan. It was always on Saturday tea times, so I was always aware of it. But then as I got older, I had other interests. But I would say I was a fan, yes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And who was your favourite football team then?
Oh, well, Southampton is where I was born and grew up, so that's always been my number one team. But I remember, like all kids do, you have like another team that you follow. You glory hunters, I suppose. I liked Chelsea because I was a big fan of Peter Osgood, and of course I was over the moon in the mid-70s because Peter Osgood, my favourite footballer, actually signed from Chelsea and came to Southampton. So that was like heaven for me.
Yeah, it's a pretty good connection, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, which would you say has been the most comfortable and uncomfortable costumes to wear on Doctor Who?
Oh, okay. Well, the most uncomfortable has to be the Cyberman outfit. Certainly in the first series, in the 2005 and 6, it was like putting on really heavy armor. I mean, I'm not sure, the weight of it. Somebody told me it was 4 stone of weight, including the boots. And of course, there was only ever 10 Cybermen. And the costume was made to fit one person. So obviously no two people are the same size. So everybody who wore it had kind of pain in different parts of their body. So for me, it was my collarbones. I was having tremendous trouble with my collarbones, but other people had problems with the back of their legs or their knees or their hips. And so we kind of got through it with padding or painkillers, as best you could. So that was the most uncomfortable, but also one of the most fun because it's such a dynamic, strong creature, strong monster, and it's so powerful that it was fun to play as well. You asked about the most comfortable. Well, one of the most comfortable was the Vigil. Fabulous kind of like soft PVC type coat and, comfortable trousers. And so that was really a joy to wear because it looked so stylish as well. But the Ood was quite comfortable. That was, it was basically a boiler suit. Comfortable, Dalek was also equally comfortable because you're sitting down. Which is nice on the job if you're sitting down and working. But obviously you work, you're having to manoeuvre the Dalek with your knees and your feet. So, but you can sit down while you're doing it. So that's pretty good as well.
Yeah, that's definitely very handy. As usually in a job you wouldn't get to sit down.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a sit down. Shame I couldn't have a cup of tea while I was sitting down as well.
Yeah, that's just what everyone wants, sitting down, cup of tea. Yeah, it's pity, but yeah, I'm sure you got over that.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You have a cup of tea when you've done your bit. That's a little reward at the end of the scene or the take.
Definitely, and I have to admit, the Cybermen are actually my favourite Doctor Who creatures, but just based on what you said about the costume, I would definitely not want to play one.
No, when they kind of updated the Cybermen costume a few years later, it was more of a softer material, malleable, and the shoes were less cumbersome. So it's much more comfortable, but in my view, less frightening, less scary. And in fact, doing live shows, you've got much more of a scared reaction playing the older Cybermen as opposed to the newer ones. I think they were just more stompy and more kind of, terrifying. Yeah, but a more comfortable, costume.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Like for myself, like the the 2006 Cybermen that you referred to in Series 2 and onwards for a while were definitely my favourite Cybermen as well. Like you said, the whole stomping, it actually would give me chills knowing that the Cybermen were coming. I mean, it's...
Oh, relentless. We never stopped. Relentless.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been just fun to do the stomp, stomp, stomp.
Oh, it was absolutely fun. Yeah, I mean, especially when we were doing like appearances. I mean, we did some appearances at a holiday camp, I remember once, and then we'd do our little bit, and then we'd kind of just stomp out into the audience, and the screams from the children was, I mean, joy to our ears. for all the right reasons, that's the reaction you want. So that's what we got, and it was great.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm older than a child, and even I get chills when I watch those episodes with those Cybermen. I mean, the new ones, like Series 7 onwards, they're good. It's good to have a redesign, but it's just not the same feeling.
No, I mean, they're more sleek. I think that's the thing with them. They've made them so that they're more kind of men of action. We can run, we can leap and jump and fly and things, but I don't know, there's something kind of, I think something more terrifying about a creature like a zombie. Zombies just, traditional zombies will just walk at a slow pace, and that's sometimes more frightening than something that's more agile or sleek, I suppose. I don't know, there's something more, I don't know, foreboding. I don't know.
Yeah, I completely
personal choice, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm on the same boat as you, so...
Good.
Yeah. How would you describe the experience working with the cast and crew of Doctor Who so far?
Oh, one of the highlights of my career, my life, really. It's just a wonderful program to work on. Every time I go back, it's a very similar crew. Same directors, same crew. The effects team are absolutely fantastic. They are what brings the show to a new audience. I think just the amount of I know there is a lot of resources now the BBC used on Doctor Who to make the show stand up against big budget films, and they do it tremendously with some of the special effects and the CGI, and I think it's just a joy to step on set, and you always know people. I was up there doing some stuff a couple of weeks ago, and working with some of the crew who I'd not seen because they'd been in different departments for probably I don't know 8-9 years, and it's just wonderful. It's like coming home kind of thing to a family, and you make so many friends on it, through, because we're all working long hours and we're all doing working in all kinds of weather as well, and it kind of brings you together, and it's lovely atmosphere.
Definitely, that's really great to hear. What would you say have been the biggest challenges you faced while working on Doctor Who?
Only what I've already told you, really. The pain of being in the early Cybermen outfits, because no one knew what to expect. We've just you get into your armor, and the technicians obviously strap you in, and once you're in, you can obviously they can remove your helmet between takes. But basically you're in it for 12 hours, and some of us suffered a lot from, as I mentioned, pain in different areas of our body. But you learn as the days go by that you learn to. For me, I had big kind of soft cushion padding things to put on my collarbones, and other people were like shaving bits off of their inner leotard to allow more room, or if the costume was rubbing them in a different area. So that was probably the biggest challenge. But also, the weather as well, because being in that Cyberman costume, it acts a bit like a thermos flask. When it's hot, you really get hot, and when it's cold in the middle of winter, you freeze. So you just have to muddle through and make the best of it.
Yeah,
keep calm and carry on, I think the expression is.
Yeah, that's definitely a really good expression, and of course it's rewarding. It's very rewarding when the episode actually airs.
Oh yes, I mean, watching them back, it looks fantastic. It's all marching across a bridge or wherever it is, or down a street. It looks amazing. I mean, one of my favourite bits from those episodes was when I think we were in a disused bunker, and then I think the Doctor walks past us, and then slowly one by one we just turn and look at him, and that was really moody lighting and that kind of fear, a bit similar to when I think in one episode Arthur, who played Ruari, was tiptoeing through the Daleks, and they're all dormant, and then they suddenly come to life. I think that's quite terrifying.
Yeah, that was definitely terrifying for sure. That came out really well on screen.
Yeah, I think that's it's a good kind of technique to get you kind of on the edge of your seat or hiding behind cushions or whatever on your sofa.
Definitely. What would you say have been your favourite memories from working on Doctor Who so far?
Just working with wonderful fellow monsters who have been lifelong friends now, and some fabulous directors. I mean, Graham Harper was absolutely a joy to work for. He's so kind of enthusiastic and was aware of obviously the limitations of whatever monster we happened to be playing. James Strong was another brilliant director who it was so much fun to work with these people because they really got the show, and it was just a joy to work for them, and also as I say, all the crew as well. It's just fun. It's a fun job. So many good memories. I mean, some of my best memories actually. We did the tour last year or year before. I think that was wonderful as well, because you're playing your monsters who you play on the TV show, but you're actually going out and interacting with the audience who are fans of the show, and that's amazing as well, because you're having that instant response. Whereas obviously when it's on TV, you're filming just in front of the crew, and you don't know, you can't see the fans' reaction. And there is, obviously there's hundreds of thousands of fans, millions of fans, and to actually interact with them during these live shows was brilliant, and such an honour really as well to have that opportunity to do that.
Definitely, of course, the most important thing at the end of the day is the fan reaction.
Well, totally. Without the fans, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't have these jobs, these wonderful jobs. Without the fans, watching the shows and talking about them and coming to events, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to talk about these, this job that it's not really a job. It's a hobby. We're very honoured. We're very kind of, lucky to be in this position to do something that we love, and it's down to the fans really. They make the show what it is, and it's just wonderful to meet them and scare them in person.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fun hobby that you get paid for.
Quite, we're very lucky.
Definitely. Now, moving away from Doctor Who, back in 2015 you had a small role in the 2015 Star Wars film The Force Awakens. How would you describe your experience working on that?
Oh, I mean, again, an absolutely fantastic experience. I mean, I wasn't actually a fan of Star Wars. Yes, I did say that out loud, I know. But I knew it was big. I knew, I got the enormity of it. I knew that it was had a massive following. But stepping onto the film set for the first time, and I thought to myself, wow, this is incredible. And, the set was amazing. The cast and crew were amazing. The director was a big fan of Star Wars anyway, and he was having to curb his enthusiasm to make a good film. And he even said to us one day, I'm a big fan, but I'm trying not to shoot this film as a fan. I want it to be good. So I think it was, and everybody bought into that kind of ethos, and it was just a wonderful experience. And every day, the director would thank everybody, the cast and crew, and it was just a joy to be part of something that massive and huge.
Definitely. Now, finally, Kevin, do you have any upcoming acting roles or other projects that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. There's a big kind of mood these days for NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Now, they've obviously been around for a while, but they seem to employ them on every film that you do. I mean, I can tell you, I've just finished working on a film called Holmes and Watson, which stars Will Ferrell as Sherlock Holmes and John C. Reilly as Dr. Watson. And I think I won't be kind of going against my NDA when I say it's going to be absolutely hilarious. And it's two fantastic actors really having fun with two kind of established, literary figures, and that was just one of the funniest things I've worked on in years. So I think that's coming out next year possibly. So I've just finished doing that. That was wonderful. And I'm currently working on something which is based at Pinewood, and I can't really say much more than that. Really, you probably have a guess what that might be.
Yeah, I probably could, but probably best if I don't guess out loud.
Yeah. That's part of a big franchise. Let's say that. So yeah, I'm currently doing that, and it's all good fun.
Definitely. Well, that's all of my questions for you today, Kevin. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
Oh, absolute pleasure, Rory. Thanks very much for inviting me on.
You're very welcome, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, be a pleasure.
Yeah. So I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks again for joining us, and take care. Bye.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Thanks, Rory. Bye. Bye.
Time to wrap up today's show. Make sure to check out our podcast links. Check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/officialeverythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/septusdestroyers. Check out Kevin Hudson on Twitter, twitter.com/actorkevhudson. And check out channel 1138, where we broadcast live from, www.channel1138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
I wanted to be a nurse. And then I'm not so great with the blood thing, so I thought, I don't think I can do that. So I happened to be in a school play when I was 14. Called...
I'm very, very lucky to be offered that. I think it hit me when I did London Film and Comic-Con, really, and the amount of sort of people that were coming up to me to get my autograph or my